Few things are as exciting in anime as fight scenes. The epic struggle of ideas, characters fighting for their lives or the lives of their loved ones, killing monsters for treasure, revenge, or simply the thrill of battle. There are numerous reasons why characters fight. But that's not the point of this video. Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. If you're new here, my name is Danon. I've been watching anime since 1985, and I'm currently reading over 500 manga or light novel series. As someone who has read a lot of manga and seen a lot of anime, as well as studied genre and story structure, I feel I have a pretty good grasp on which manga are worth your time depending on your tastes. Which brings us to the subject of today's video, epic beatdowns. But before we get started, I'd like to quickly ask you to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and it's free. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. As I stated earlier, fights in anime are amazing when they're close battles. Sure, Luffy beat Rob Lucci at the climax of the Enies Lobby arc, and it was one of the most epic moments in all of anime. But he couldn't stand up afterwards. Robin had to literally summon dozens of arms to roll him out. You know what another epic moment in One Piece was? When Luffy knocked out Bellamy with a single punch. Or when Zoro made Monet freeze in place in fear, scaring her so badly that she was unable to put her body back together for hours. Sometimes you need to establish a threat. You need to show that this character is on a completely different level. Let me show you what I'm talking about. About 10 years ago, there was a popular fantasy tournament that people got to vote in. Called Zavudu, they would pick out several characters from fantasy and science fiction, usually either 32 or 64, and pit them against each other in a cage match style fight. People would vote on who they thought would win, but it was actually a popularity contest rather than a real vote. After all, given the popularity of Game of Thrones, a lot of people voted for Jaime Lannister beating Elric of Melonbone. But we all know that would never happen in a million years. Years ago, I realized that there are three categories of heroes in fantasy and science fiction. You have your champions, men and women, larger than life but still human. Han Solo, Landman Dragoran, James Bond, Lancelot, Jaime Lannister, Lubu, Aragorn, Conan the Barbarian. All of them are very powerful in their own right, with lots of skills, training, intelligence, or just plain luck to keep them alive. But there is no world in which a Landman Dragoran, the uncrowned king of Malkir, beloved as he is and badass as he is, could ever beat Paul Atreides. Which brings me to the second tier of heroes, wizards. These aren't necessarily magic-wielding characters, but they are supernatural in nature. They go beyond the realms of mortal men. Gandalf, Harry Dresden, Merlin, Paul Atreides, Guts, Vladimir Taltosh, Druss, Drizzt Do'Urden, Deku, and most of your isekai protagonists belong in this category. These are powerful individuals, not unbeatable by any means, but not really threatened by a group of bandits. And then you have the god tier. These are people who have to be careful when they fight, or they might accidentally destroy the planet they're standing on. Randall Thor, Belgarian, Goku, Saitama, and Superman, to name a few. Oftentimes, in the case of a hero's journey, the characters, the champions, are wizards who are forced to confront gods. The entirety of classic JRPGs revolves around a group of 3 or 4 plucky rainbow-haired youths gaining enough experience to kill the Demon Lord, often portrayed as a dark god of some kind. But we're not talking about that. Achieving impossible feats and overcoming adversity is something to be celebrated, but that's not the point of this video. No, in this video we want to look at the exact opposite. What we're looking at are examples where a character from a higher tier beats the crap out of a character from a lower tier. Ruthless, methodical, and often hilarious beatdowns. For example, there's the scene in Season 1 of Sword Art Online where Kirito confronts a group of PKers. For those who haven't seen SAO, let me set the scene. Kirito, along with 10,000 other people, are trapped inside of a video game. They cannot leave, and they're told if they die in the game, they die in real life. So, of course, groups of psychopaths have convinced themselves that it's just a game, there's no proof that the game's designer was telling the truth, so they can just kill and take whatever they want from whoever they want. The problem is, they decided to pick the wrong target in Kirito. He's so much higher level than them that his natural hit point regeneration outpaces their damage. All of their damage. He's got like 6 people all beating on him and they can't get him below 99% health. It's kinda sad, really. Another epic beatdown is pretty much anything involving Saitama getting serious. The fight against Boros was truly an epic masterpiece, belonging in the list of greatest anime fights of all time. But the entire time, you never felt that Saitama was in any danger. He was just having fun and seeing how powerful his opponent was. But when his opponent threatened to actually harm the Earth, Saitama got serious, and threw a serious punch, which not only killed his opponent, he changed the weather patterns on Earth. And for those who are caught up on the manga, they also know about Saitama's serious table flip. The entirety of Dragon Ball Z is based around fighting, and many of the fights are extremely one-sided. Most of the opening rounds in each of the tournament arcs are the main characters desperately holding back, trying not to evaporate their opponents, leaving blood and offal all over the audience. But probably the best one-sided beatdown is Vegeta versus Incomplete Cell. Before the Cell games, while Cell was still trying to absorb the remaining androids and perfect himself, he was still in a more insectoid state. Vegeta shows up and decides not to let him become perfect, and the showdown is legendary. Vegeta doesn't hold back, just wipes the floor with Cell, and it's glorious to watch. Love it or hate it, the introduction of Escanor, the Lion Sin of Pride in Season 2 of Seven Deadly Sins, is another great beatdown. One of the commandments, who was giving Bon a very tough time, wound up becoming so scared that he ran away, losing to his own commandment. And who can forget the best line of Season 2? Of course it doesn't work on me. Why would I feel anger towards someone weaker than me? All I feel is pity. But when it comes to epic one-sided beatdowns, the undisputed master is Tite-Kubo. Bleach has some of my favorite beatdowns in all of anime. Ulquiorra vs. Ichigo is a one-sided beatdown with Ichigo basically winding up dead, only to have Ichigo stand back up in full Vastalorde form and wipe the floor with Ulquiorra. So we got the benefit of two beatdowns in the same fight. The first time Ichigo fights Grimmjow, he gets his butt handed to him worse than at any other time than his fight with Byakuya Kuchiki. Kenpachi Zaraki hates one-sided beatdowns. He wants to have fun and make fights last as long as possible. But he realizes during his fight against Nyortora Gilga, the number 5 Espada, that if he doesn't go all out, he'll probably die. So he mentions that when a swordsman puts both hands on his sword, his strikes are much more powerful. Nyortora scoffs. Everyone knows that. No, I don't think you do. Even the finale of the Arrancar saga, with Aizen fighting against Ichigo, is a one-sided beatdown. Ichigo skull drags Aizen out into the wilderness. They chat a bit, and then Ichigo finishes the fight with a single swing of his sword. This is Aizen, someone who has been built up over hundreds of chapters of the manga. Someone feared by everyone in Soul Society and Hueco Mundo, and Ichigo just puts everything he has into one strike and finishes him off. Sort of. Spoilers if I go further than that. But recently, a contender for the most epic beatdowns of all time has arisen. Someone who toys with their opponents, laughs at their fear, and mocks them ruthlessly. Run? Me? Why? And from whom? I'm talking, of course, about Sid Kagano, the Eminence in Shadow. We're getting a new season this fall, and while I've already read the source material for this season, I didn't want to spoil anything. But Season 1 ended back in March, so I figured we can discuss what happened during those 20 episodes. Of course, there's the first beatdown in Episode 1, where pre-Isekai Sid is playing the hero and saving the damsel in distress for fun and games. Or the one in Episode 2, where he gets lost and winds up killing the main villain who kidnapped his sister by sheer luck. But probably the most famous one, at least from the first few episodes, is the I Am Atomic scene from Episode 5. Allow me to set the scene. Alexia Midgar has been kidnapped. Who is Alexia? She's one of the 3 princesses on the show. 2 of them are sisters, Alexia and Iris, with Iris being the older and more powerful of the 2, with the third, Rose Oriana, being the princess of a visiting kingdom. More on her later. In order to annoy her fiancé, Alexia got herself a boyfriend in Sid Kagano. Sid soon realizes she's just using him to annoy her fiancé, but the money's good, so he doesn't mind. But when the chance comes to finally make his debut to the world, he doesn't hesitate to take it. Sid clears out the annoyances watching his house, and the rest of the Shadow Garden decimates the various cult bases around the city, Sid arrives just in time to save Alexia from her fiancé, who, of course, is a high-ranking member of the Cult of Diablos. Sid, in his alternate persona of Shadow, toys with the villain, eventually growing bored and wounding him. This causes the cornered villain to consume power-enhancing drugs. He claims that these drugs give him almighty power. Shadow's response is to punch him in the face. He doesn't even bother using his sword, because there is no road to almightiness for those using borrowed strength. Sid then decides to show this man, as well as Alexia, Shadow Garden, and most of the population of the capital, the true meaning of almighty power. Of course, there are several other examples that pop up as the series continues, but the one I want to focus on is the finale. Shadow, who has entered the Bushin Festival tournament in the disguise of Mundane Man, reveals himself after humiliating poor Iris Midgar, the favorite to win the tournament, and proceeds to fight against Beatrix, the war goddess, and Iris Midgar wielding an enchanted blade. At no time during this fight is Shadow ever threatened. He's fighting two of the strongest people in the world, according to public opinion at least, and he's not even pressed. In fact, he decides midway through the fight to be silly and grab a pair of crowbars, which was a nice callback to the first episode. At the close of the fight, when Iris tries sacrificing herself to pin Shadow so that Beatrix can get the killing blow, Shadow throws his sword in the air, beats them both with his bare hands, stomps on them, and then catches his sword. And when Iris, whose entire world has been turned upside down in the last 15 episodes or so, declares that Shadow has made an enemy of the entire Midgar kingdom, and he has nowhere to run, Shadow laughs. He laughs loud and long. It is the laugh of a villain. Run? Who's running? Running where? And why? It is this moment that Beatrix and Iris realize just how powerful Shadow truly is. He has been toying with them, fighting them for fun for the last 20 minutes. He could have wiped them and the entire capital out if he'd wanted to. But of course he doesn't. Where's the fun in that? I'm looking forward to Season 2 of The Eminence in Shadow. Even more so because of the most recent trailer, which shows a couple of scenes from Book 4 of the series. And as much fun as Book 3 is, Book 4 is far more important to the overall plot of the world, whether Sid Kagano knows it or not. Can you think of any other epic beatdowns that I didn't mention? Leave a comment below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Danny, Muffins, Marcus, Squishy, Brett, Roxy, Josh, Sean, Pob Zombie, Mark, Alex, Daniel, Steve, Kevin, Alex, Cookie, Nick, Borgie, Jake, Exiled Rogue, Medmen, and Manassas. You guys are awesome. I post anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. If you're looking for Commander content, I split my channel last year, so all new Commander videos are over on my other channel, Commander by Danon. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.